I hope you are doing well. Today, I bring to you another episode on how to finance your car if you want to get into the taxi industry. The video that I did previously was on how to use your bank to get financing for your car. We discussed several issues like the interest rate at this time, the credit score, and the total cost of that loan if you choose to go through the banking finance. And also we mentioned that that option is a bit very prohibitive because it is only available for people who have a record of transaction, either through mobile banking or through the banks, and then they have a good credit score. The financing option that I'm going to discuss with you today is called hire purchase. Hire purchase, as that word describes it, it means that you hire a car. So you take a car from someone, meaning that car is not yours. You pay a certain amount, is like a rent. You take a house, you get into that house is not yours. You'll be paying a rental amount every month. The same thing with the car, you pay a rental amount every month, and then at the end of a particular period, that asset becomes yours. So on the side of housing, it is called rent to own. So you can get into companies that sell houses. They tell you that they are selling that house on a rent to own model, meaning that their rental amount will be slightly higher than a house of similar value. But if you consistently pay that amount for, let's say, 5 years, that house will be finally yours. The same thing, hire purchase. It simply means that you get somebody's else car, someone who is selling a car, you'll be paying a particular amount of money per month for a particular number of months. And once that period is over, the ownership of that car becomes yours. And that is what we want to discuss. Contrary to the banking finance or bank finance, hire purchase is available for anyone. There is no player. I don't know how this is regulated, but as it is, there is nothing like central bank or anything that is above the people who are transacting. You are the buyer, there is the seller. You are going to set those terms of agreement between yourself. How much you pay the seller and how much the seller sells the car to you and at what terms. Those things are set between the two parties. Okay? So what happens is that the most popular people who sell cars on hire purchase are the dealers in Mombasa. In as much as that is happening in Nairobi, but I think people from Nairobi find that it is a bit more expensive to do hire purchase with Nairobi dealers. So a lot of car buyers go to Mombasa. Recently, there is one of my friends who bought his car from Mombasa, and he gave me the exact term that he was applied on his buying agreement, and that is what I want to share with you. So when you go to Mombasa, it is very straightforward thing. The guys selling the car, the dealers, they are called the Wahindis. They will not be asking a lot of details from you. The only thing that they will tell you to do is to select the car that you want to buy. You want to buy a Toyota Allion, you want to buy a Premio, you want to buy a Daihatsu Mira, you want to buy a Demio. First of all, you choose the car that you want to buy from the yard. Once you select the car, they will give you the price for cash payment. For my guy, he chose to go with Toyota Passo. The cash payment for that Toyota Passo was around 950,000. So we go slowly by slowly. 950,000. Then he was given the price for hire purchase. The price for hire purchase was around 1.2 M. So 250,000 more than those who are buying it on cash basis. I leave it to you to do the analysis of what the interest rate is. He was required to put a deposit of a minimum of 400,000. So he was required to deposit a minimum of 400,000, and then the remaining he is required to pay within 24 months. Okay? That is the agreement. Those are the terms of sales. So if he deposited 400,000, it means that he had 850,000 left for him to pay in 24 months. So I'm noting that down so that we can do the calculations together. So he had 850,000 to pay in 24 months, meaning that per month he is supposed to be paying around 35,000. If he does that for 24 months, that car goes back to his ownership. But there are things that you also need to know. Within the 24 months, when you are paying that car, okay, on hire purchase, the ownership will still remain under the dealer or the distributor, whoever is selling that car to you. Unlike for the banks, they do what we call shared ownership. So when you go to bank and borrow money or they finance your car, is either they give you the money and go and buy it, or they do the car asset financing, meaning that that car will be co-owned between you and the bank, and then the logbook will be jointly yours with the bank. So that gives you a higher sense of security that your car is protected because there is an aspect of your ownership in it. For hire purchase, the car does not have anything under your name. Okay, so it remains 100% under the ownership of the seller. So that is one thing. You can consider it whether it is positive or negative. Secondly, the car owner will install, the car seller will install a tracker which you don't have access to. And they install very high efficient trackers that can see your car wherever you are, that can also track your movements, and they are capable to switch that car off and maybe come for it when you don't meet your payment deadlines. So there are, even banks will do that, but banks will do it at your cost. So they will tell you to install and then you will pay for it. For the hire purchase, the guy selling to you will install that tracker at their own cost. But remember, it is included in the 250,000 that was added to the cash price. So everything is inclusive. So for you is just to take the car, pay the deposit 400,000 and fuel the car and go and work. Then the other difference that I find a little bit advantageous with hire purchase is that they don't dictate to you the type of insurance that you should buy. So they don't tell you that it is mandatory to have comprehensive insurance, which is very expensive. In as much as it is recommended, if you don't have that money, it can be an obstacle when you are going through the banking finance. But the bank finance, sorry. But if you are going through the hire purchase, once you take that car, you can go and do whatever you want to do with regard to insurance. You can take PSV if you don't have the money immediately, or if you have the money, you can do comprehensive insurance. Okay, is there anything else that I have forgotten here? So in terms of documents that you sign, it is a simple sales agreement. Okay, no sign, no signature from a lawyer, no witness. It is an agreement between the buyer and the seller. And what is contained in that agreement simply are the terms of payment. So they will say the cash value of the car is 950. If you bought it through hire purchase, definitely it is 1250. The 1250 is inclusive of tracking devices that have been installed, is inclusive of the interest, and then they indicate also the terms of payment. So meaning that the remaining 850,000 you will pay in 24 months, which amount to around 35,000 per month, and the ultimate transfer of car ownership will be done upon completion. Okay, those are the details that I have shared with you in terms of sales agreement. Okay, in my view, this is not as expensive way of financing as I initially had thought. Because in my previous video, if you go and check, I had estimated that if you borrow 500,000 from the bank and you pay back in 3 years, you will pay it back with an additional 220K if you pay back in 3 years. Okay, here you are being told that the hire purchase guy will lend you 850K, you pay back in 2 years, and the only amount that you'll pay on top is 250,000. Can you see the difference is very big? Because the hire purchase guys, they are like lending you 850,000 and you just pay 250 on top. The bank is going to give you or lend you 500,000 and you pay 220,000 on top. So in my view, go for hire purchase if you don't have access to bank finance. Why? Because it is accessible for everyone. But there is one requirement. You need to raise at least 30% of the value of that car. At least 30%. From banks to banks, they will require you to raise 40, 50%. Some will require you to raise, they can finance you up to 97% depending on your history with that bank. But with this one, I find it very safe and accessible for anyone. I'm just trying to see my notes and see whether I have forgotten about anything. So the only thing that these guys will do, they will actually be giving you a few days past the payment day. So if you agree that you will be paying before 30th of every month, they will give you it is called a what? A grace period of like 5 days for you to pay the payment if you fail. If you don't do that, then they will start taking action. Remember that they have control of over the tracker. They have control over whether they can switch off the car or not, and then they can set breakdown to tow that car and take it to them if you fail to pay. So I hope I have shared some relevant information to you with regard to hire purchase, and it is my hope that you'll take action. But my advice is start saving some money. Okay? Deposit is everything in car acquisition. If you have zero money, the lesser the deposit, the lesser your savings, the more expensive it will cost you to buy a car. Sawa sawa. Even in this case of hire purchase, the higher the deposit. So this 250,000 is based on a 400k deposit. If that guy had a deposit of, let's say, 700, 800,000, the amount he could have paid back to the car dealer ingekuwa less, given that he had a higher deposit. So save, 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 save. And someone commented one day on my videos and said, people don't understand the power of saving. If you can be saving 1,000 per day, forget about how you feel about it or any mathematics you are doing on what to do with that money or not. But if you are a taxi driver, challenge yourself. Just open an account. Go to money markets, open Sanlam or Old Mutual or NCIC, open those money markets. Just be sending 1,000 bob every day and forget about it. 1,000 bob every day and give yourself 2 years to do that. I'm telling you that you will go and buy a car at a very, very cheap cost. The higher you get, the closer you get to the cash price, the cheaper the car will be for you. But if you want to go through other ways of financing without cash, remember it will be expensive. Something else is that if you are going to buy second-hand cars, the ones that I advise people to go and buy at a cheaper price, they will require you to have cash. There is nothing that, like, I give you my car and you be paying me slowly, unless I bring other financiers like Mogo and these other Shylocks. They are very popular to finance second-hand cars. But if you want to buy it straight from the seller, you will require to have cash. So my advice is, please get into the culture of saving. Save, save, save. Give yourself 2 years. I'm telling you, the journey to getting your own car will be as simple as you have never imagined. Cheers, guys, and goodbye.